Does that intro slap hard or what? I can't tell you enough. I'm digging it. What is going on, everybody? Again, it seems every other show I seem to be having these camera technical difficulties but I did order some adapters. I apologize. I'm going to work on it throughout the show. We're not going to be on long tonight. It is late, but we wanted to test the audience. At a later time and see if there's a little bit more engagement. Tonight, we're talking about something that was like, it's still considered, aside from the TikTok videos and stuff, um, one of the biggest revelations in UFO lore and the UFO community, and leaks and whistleblowing, is the whole reverse engineering programs. Right now, a huge component to this would be the Wilson Davis memo, or the self-written memo by Dr. Eric Davis after a conversation he had with Admiral Tom Wilson, privately. It's in his own words. It's a recounting of the situation, but it's very detailed, very descriptive. It's about 13 pages long. We're not going to read the whole thing. We'll go through some of it. We'll talk about it, and we'll come to our own conclusion at the end. Hope. But before we get into that, guys, I just want to say this. Thank you for supporting the show. Please like, share, subscribe, become a member if you want to support the channel further. Send a super chat, super thanks, or like I said, just subscribe and like the video, and share with your friends, because that goes a long way and it's free. Welcome, co-host Lil Pop Tart.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Doing good, bro. Ready for the show?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So give me a little backstory. What do you know about the Wilson Davis memo?
So before this, I really didn't know too much aside from just what Dr. Greer had said in like the unacknowledged movie. He talks about
Yeah,
it
this is something
a
that
little
he
bit.
definitely supports
He
as
was
being
involved.
real.
He was involved in. He was actually really involved in. And I actually watched a little. I didn't watch all of it, but there's a 2 hour interview that he gave after this leaked in 2019, talking about it and confirming basically the entire memo. And he was actually there. He's the one that gave Admiral Wilson the briefing with astronaut Edgar Mitchell,
Yeah,
and
Edgar Mitchell.
it
Yeah.
was another Commander Will Miller, that prior before Eric Davis had this meeting. They had Dr. Greer had a briefing and gave Admiral Wilson the same document basically that he gave the president, and that he briefed the head of the CIA with and stuff, and it gave him the list of all the code names and stuff, and
hmm
even
hmm
before that, uh, Admiral Wilson had came across a USAP. Um,
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, because again, on this show, we want to be, for all
yeah,
people, all walks of life, whether you're just joining the subject or not, unacknowledged special access program, which are programs that are unacknowledged. Even Congress is not briefed on these. So, for all intents and purposes, these programs are illegal
yeah, and
and they're black money.
so basically, they had this meeting with Admiral Wilson, and Dr. Greer gave Dr. Sorry, I can't talk. Dr. Greer gave the briefing, and basically, Edgar Mitchell was there, not giving the briefing, but just as like a guest. And Admiral Wilson had already known about a USAP and was really upset about it at the time. And Dr. Greer gave him this list, and they were only supposed to talk for 45 minutes. They ended up talking for 2 or 3 hours, and the admiral ended up canceling one or two appointments, to keep the conversation going.
Yeah,
And
I do you ever feel like once you start talking about this subject, it's hard to let it go? I
yeah,
feel like I feel like anyone who ever comes across this subject, whether you're a guy like Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, who should not at all be as far into it as they are, Dr. Greer, even a surgeon, right? Like a medical doctor. It's like once you come across this phenomenon, you cannot give it up. Astronauts, like
Gone
astronauts,
back,
don't
yeah.
have to work a day in their life ever again, but dedicate their life to fucking UFOs. Like there's got to be something to it, guys. Wake up.
Yeah, 100%. Edgar Mitchell was especially someone
He's
that was
not even the only one. Gordon
short.
Cooper,
Yeah,
Buzz Aldrin's
and
famously.
they make out Edgar Mitchell to be kind of like a conspiracy theorist too. If you just
Yeah, but
read anything about him, they make him out to be like he's crazy or something, which is totally ridiculous.
which is
But
ridiculous that they sent this guy. Like by the way, NASA does extreme, extreme evaluations on people before they get sent even into simulation, let alone space. So to try to say that Edgar Mitchell is a whack job, well, if so, NASA, you should probably check your fucking your system, because if you're letting whack jobs into space, then we have an issue.
yeah, I mean, he had I guess an out of body experience coming back from space, and that's why he created NIDS or whatever. Not NIDS. He didn't create NIDS. He created the Institute of Noetic Sciences. Sorry, but anyway, so Eric Davis ended up. So that meeting happened in April of 1997. Um, the Wilson memo is dated what, October of 2002, right? So the Wilson
Yes.
memo, yeah. So and that's with Eric Davis, and they actually met in the back of a car. Eric Davis and Admiral Wilson
Yes,
met in
so
the
they
back of a
they
car.
yeah, they met in the back of a car. There was two guards there, dressed in civilian clothes. I believe dressed in civilian clothes. Or at least Admiral Wilson was dressed in civilian clothes. I don't know
Oh,
if the
okay.
guards were. But then Eric Davis was there in the back seat, and they spoke for a very, very long time. Um, and I mean, what was talked about? I mean, some of the shit that I mean, it's insane. It's insane. Do you have the documents handy?
Yep, and that. But the
Could
thing
you
is,
send them to me?
yeah, I'll say it right now. This is exactly what I've only been in the UFO game for 2 years, but this is what Dr. Greer literally has been talking about for 25 plus years, possibly 30 years. So it just confirms everything that Greer has been saying.
Which
And
does lead credence to the whole false flag operation about, like,
all of it.
yeah, reverse engineering, in order to keep the proprietary technology, or keep the technology proprietary, in order to um, not share it, which you only wouldn't share it because you want to use it in some, malicious kind of way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was all the problem is not that we have the technology, it's that it's being run illegally, and people like Admiral Wilson that should have access,
Wh-
the head of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the head of the
The
CIA, the president's denied access.
I mean,
So,
the president doesn't even have access. Like, these
yeah,
are
so
illegal.
yeah, unconstitutional, you know, it's evil basically.
So
And
yeah, send me those documents. But while we do that, let's take a look at this video. So, like I said, it's a good little background into the Admiral Wilson and Davis, Dr. Eric Davis, memo. So, um, I what they go into is a lot further, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the Roswell crash.
Okay.
So the Roswell crash is, infamous in the sense that common ufologists believe that, that and the Kenneth Arnold story are the beginning of the UFO story. Now we know this not to be true so much anymore, especially with connections with the cosmetism and even ancient alien theory brings up some good points. Several times. I think they've gone off the rails a lot in recent years, but the basis for Eric von Daniken's research is actually well established as, I mean, credible. I mean, the TV show just took it a little too far. But the Roswell crash. Do you think that um, um, more than one craft crashed? And do you think that alien bodies were in fact recovered?
Well, I mean, according to somebody, I don't know if they had a name, but on one of Greer's movies, the Four Corners specifically has had 100 to 400 crashes just in the past, you know, couple decades or something like that. So yeah, I think that um, Roswell is just one of many. I think that even where I live, an hour south, Cape Girardeau, there was an alleged crash in 1943. Years before Roswell. It was just covered up so well there was never even a rumor where I lived. But I found out from doing research. Roswell, though, yeah, it was. It's definitely happened. As to how many crafts there were at that time, from what I've learned, apparently I think there was more than one, maybe, possibly two. I don't think there was more than two, but at least at the same time. I think one was found later on, like years later, somewhere else. You might know more about that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I do, but I mean that would be like a whole story.
it
Um,
it goes back to the what we were talking about with the Wilson memo, though. It just the Wilson memo just confirms all of it basically. And there's even a part in the memo that says that UFOs are real, alien abductions not real, and it
right.
confirms what Greer says. So it's like,
Alien, and that's a huge part of it because Dr. Greer has been saying, since the beginning, since I can remember, that these alien abductions, which by the way, he has been somewhat vindicated by the testimony of Richard Doty, um, that OSI did in fact use these kind of uh, um, programs where they would scare the dickens. I'm paraphrasing, scare the dickens out of people. They'd use, folks that were a little bit deformed or, you know, just didn't look right, and with a little prosthetics could, in fact, stage alien abductions or at least scare you enough where if you had seen something or they want to keep you quiet, they'd make sure that you had nightmares and you felt a threat. So abductions are debatable because a lot of people, even in ufology, say, and this goes for mainstream ufology. I'm talking everyone, everyone who talks about landings and encounters generally say there's an overwhelming amount of non-hostility and peaceful transfer of information about what we're doing to our planet. No hostile intentions. Um, but to say that they're also abducting people and probing us, I mean, that's a stretch to say that those species are the same thing, under the guise that there is only one species. If there are many, that leads a whole other can of worms. Is there warring factions among aliens? Are there one type that's abducting us and one type that's trying to protect us, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the narrative, bro. And the people that's controlling the narrative are the same people that have kept this issue a secret, and so their narrative is used for every situation. Is fear mongering. It's their way to warmonger and how to control the population, bro. It's what they use for every false flag, every war, every flu, whatever is. They use fear. So it's no surprise that that's what they've been doing here. And
Thank you for subscribing, Addy Raw. Shout out Addy Raw. Thank you for the subscription. Much love, much love. Nick Carr asks, and this is obviously aimed at Lil Pup Tart. Does Dr. Greer believe in the Galactic Federation?
oh, I
I don't
yeah,
know actually.
I can't speak for him, specifically, but from what I believe, I'm pretty sure that he does. Yeah, he has said that there is some form of a galactic federation, that they are organized, and that there are multiple species that have met with President Eisenhower, and that have been doing a lot of the work here on
Well,
Earth.
you'd have to say that a false flag operation against them
Yeah,
would be so catastrophic because they could literally come down and just pluck leaders
yeah,
in power out of positions of power and say, guys, sorry we had to do this, but they tried something stupid. We are no threat. We are only here to help. They did not want to cooperate with that. Like that's going to cause a chain of events that maybe we need.
and it's worth mentioning also that the Wilson memo came out after Edgar Mitchell had died. So this was never actually meant to come out, and that's the reason why Admiral Wilson's denied it to this day. Is Dr. Greer said himself, like he would never. There's no reason he would ever admit it. Like he's always going to deny it. Like of course he would.
Yeah,
Like
he's a career military man. He's
that's
not
what he's
gonna.
supposed to do. Like it was,
That's his job.
but that's what Greer's job is too. Is briefing people like the head of Joint Chiefs of Staff on this subject. And this is a very similar situation that he's been in, where they're upset that they're denied access.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
It's a huge problem, bro, because it's been going on for decades and decades since at least Roswell we know of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and so like for instance, imagine you are elected president and you simply want to look at some files pertaining to past UFO cases, specifically involving military, something that would have, you know, a clear national security guise to hide
Yeah,
under, right?
Ros- like
Um,
Roswell.
yeah, like Roswell, or even the Tic Tac, if it's depending on if it's man made or not, and we've been the someone's been briefed on that on the inside. Um, I don't know, but or even let's talk about when UFOs buzzed Washington D.C. Right? What if they wanted to look into that? Multiple radar data happened over two weekends in a row. Um, Jet scrambled. This is all public information. Was in the papers. Everything. So to say, a president wants to look into that and gets denied information, I mean, that's that's suspect if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, but what they're denied the access to isn't the general information, which J. Allen Hynek, who ran Project Blue Book, said himself that it's an embarrassment of riches how much evidence we have for UFOs. That's not exactly what the president's looking for. They're trying to get into the USAPs and see what technology we have, and that's what Dr. Greer gives them is a list of the corporations, not just the names of the facilities, but also the names of the corporations that they have contract.
Right, because a lot of people forget that corporations are so embedded into this because in order so put it this way, FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act allowed people to basically subpoena the United States government and the divisions inside, the three-letter agencies and all those places, um, to basically, you submit a form and you ask for, it's like talking to a genie. You have to be very specific in your wording. You have to be very, because if you say the wrong acronym and they look, if you say UFO, but they've changed the acronym to UAP, you're not going to get anything, right? So that's why they're always changing. It's not because they want, it's not because they have to, or should. It's because they need to. So they can keep hiding in plain sight under these, unpronounceable acronyms that they label. So a FOIA request allows you to access the information from the government, whether it's redacted or not. It doesn't breach national security. Um, but private corporation is not held to that standard. Private corporation can do whatever they want with their funding. So, and they are not liable to tell the public shit. So, the military industrial complex, which Eisenhower warned us about, has now come to fruition in a way that he gravely, gravely for I mean, he was ahead of his time. He knew something, because it has come to fruition, and they are hiding behind corporations at this point. Corporations are lobbying for politicians. They are putting people in places that of power. I mean, this is not a democracy anymore, guys. It's sad to say.
Trillions and trillions of taxpayer dollars is what it's gone to, and even the Wilson memo wasn't a FOIA request itself. It was actually
No, they won't release that
it was
because it's
actually a
because
word
it's
on.
Eric Davis. It's not an actual. I mean, unless Eric sent it to the National Archives, I don't know.
No, it was leaked on something called like Imager, which is just random images, like, and this it was came out because of Edgar Mitchell. It wasn't supposed to come out, but no one's going to dispute Eric Davis. He's super credible. He's an astrophysicist. That he worked for. He still works for apparently OSAP, ATIP, whatever the new name of it is.
Um,
Still works
yeah,
for him as a
AIMSOG,
consultant.
AIMSOG.
He's a
Um,
consultant on a lot of the time travel, wormholes,
yeah,
teleportation,
Einstein theory,
levitation. Yeah,
Rosenbridge, all that stuff.
he's
Which
basically a
yes,
genius. So,
yeah.
but this was a private document though. It was non-governmental, so it's non-redacted, um, and it was completely legit. Stephen Greer's confirmed it. Gary Nolan's confirmed it. Um, I don't know if exactly Eric Davis has confirmed it or not, but
Eric Davis
I
has
don't think
confirmed
I
it.
don't think he's denied it.
Eric Davis wrote the thing. He's confirmed it.
I know that he wrote it, but I haven't seen the video of him confirming it. But I wouldn't doubt it if he did. I mean, would make no sense for him to deny it. I believe it to be 100% credible, and like Greer said, it is one like basically completely all accurate, except just a few little things like some dates and stuff like that were wrong. He said, but besides that, yeah, it was all legit.
So, do you think that the U.S. government? So, what are the implications when the U.S. government finally does have to come clean? What about Roswell? About all these other events? While I'm trying to pull up the documents because they don't seem to want to pull up for some reason.
The implications, I think, it just depends how they do it. If it's still a disclosure that serves secrecy, if it's a disclosure based on fear, then it'll be very scary. If it's more peaceful and they tell us what happened, they're sorry, they're wrong, they've had this technology for this long, blah blah
There,
blah.
and that's another part of this that I think that people overlook. I'd have tremendous respect if someone from the government like a representative that's been involved in this, someone we can, you know, verify that they've, you know, been part of the secrecy and cover up, it came out and said, guys, we fucked up. We fucked up. Um, and we want to make it right, and this is going to be the start of it. um if it we still have time. Dr. Greer said it many times. Again, I don't support Dr. Greer necessarily. Lil Pop Tart does. But Greer has some amazing points. um we still have time to turn this around. Um and and if this show somehow reaches someone in Congress, if this show somehow reaches someone in local government, state government, any government, guys, do your best to get this up in front of the people who need to see it. Let's get peaceful disclosure. Let's find peace in our world, because it's only then can we achieve a higher consciousness and become part of our brother and sister amongst the galaxy. You know, the one mind, the collective unison mind, um, of that, you know, quote unquote galactic federation that supposedly exists. So you know, we're not going to get there by having pointless wars in Ukraine, where every day, you know, the threat level of a nuclear weapon is about to blow. What do you think about this? I mean, the doomsday clock is very very close, buddy.
Yeah, I know it's scary, bro. There's so many possibilities that could, end our world and be, a terrible outcome. But this is actually, if you look at the silver lining of all of it, and you really look into C5 and stuff like that, which is into spirituality and meditation, it's actually such a positive thing. There's a lot of bad and wrong things that the government is doing that is involved in this subject, and that they're still actively doing, and it's hard at times to decipher um, what's true and what's not. But at the heart of it, it's still hopeful that these civilizations exist. They're here. They're actively trying to help us, have been helping us, and in so many ways. And that we do have this technology too. And just because we don't have it yet, and for whatever reason, even though it's wrong that we don't, that we will have it eventually. One way or another. Whether we have to go fucking take it and whatever, we'll get it eventually. It just we should have had it back in the 50s whenever it was completely mastered. But
Right, right. So let's take a look at this. There's no way to zoom in, so to say, but um, it's very hard to read. So, guys, this is. I'll put a link in the description to this memo, or to the slide, or if you want me to email it to you. Um, this is the slide. Um, slide 4, slide 5, slide 6. Uh,
13 pages.
13 pages. I mean, I wish there was Zoom full screen layout.
Two of these pages are actually a letter to Eric Davis from or not. I don't think it's an admiral, but Commander Wilson, the other man that was with Dr. Greer and Edgar Mitchell at the first meeting. It was a letter to Eric Davis talking about Area 51, um, alien bodies and crash retrievals, MJ12, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm looking for a good slide to read.
The one with the eagle is the one that Wilson wrote, or not Wilson, Miller. Sorry. And yeah, if also something to say is Hal Putoff was actually the employer of Eric Davis too at the time. Which I don't know
Interesting.
too much
Interesting.
about Hal Putoff, but
All right, so I'm gonna read this slide here. Um, Violated that and confidential. Actually, let's go to the slide before that. Um, Tom Wilson. Uh, it's bad. It's a bad time. Time no good to talk. Uh, talk to me, Eric Wilson, Eric Davis. Too busy, said Oki. Uh, Too difficult to contact anymore. Heard he was in and out of hospital. Extremely sensitive to stress, heat sickness. Bad news. Tried calling. I can't read this. This is so fucking small. Um, God damn it.
I think this paragraph, though, it says tried calling Linda, takes messages but none returned. She doesn't want much on Oak's plate for fear. Linda Moulton Howe, I think, is that who they're talking about? Because at the time, whenever
They are talking about Linda Moulton now. Yes.
she ended up leaking a story on this with Miller, I think. But after the conversation happened with Greer and Mitchell or something, and apparently in this conversation, uh, Admiral Wilson was upset about it and was really mad
Yeah.
that.
So basically, the guys, the scope of the conversation is Eric Davis um, um, basically is talking to Admiral Wilson because Admiral Wilson was being interviewed for a job um, or was brought in to interview for a job in one of these, you know, uh, uh, I think programs, or he was trying to get briefed on a program but couldn't. I think that's the story. Is he couldn't get briefed because he needed, like he thought he needed to be briefed on something to do his job properly.
Admiral Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He should have had access to any of these use apps. Like he had access to the other ones, but this one, that any of them that had dealing with UFOs, like recovered technology, he had no access to.
Right. So he ends up meeting with Eric Davis about it, and confiding in him about how, he went looking, um, and basically was met with a brick wall, but also was threatened um, that they were going to demote him, and he would not get his DIA promotion, and they would remove a star from his uh, his jacket, basically, instead of being a 2-star general, being a 1-star general, and that's like a kick in the nuts plus 20. So this guy had to back off, and he just, for the life of him, he couldn't understand why that he was denied access, and he went searching for answers. He's still denied it to this day, but Davis, you know gets into it with him about these programs. But what Davis did wrong was he gets argumentative towards the end, and then Tom Wilson kind of just gets fed up and ends the conversation. Um, had he not done that, maybe, because emotion was involved. I mean, these are highly sensitive, highly secret things going on. And it's like an adrenaline rush when you start getting this information, and you want to know more and more and more. And finally Wilson was like, no, I'm not, I can't give you, I can't keep talking about this. So what do you, I mean, do you think this is real, brother?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this way too complex and authentic, everything to be fake at all. I mean, it would
Dr. Gary Nolan.
it's impossible for it to be fake.
Dr. Gary Nolan, who is right now, very, very, very respected in the community, and is arguably the face of UFO Twitter right now. Now that Luis Elizondo has kind of taken a step back, maybe for the better, because I think Gary Nolan, being a scientist, being an experiencer, like having a close encounter of the first kind, um and of the third kind, no, of the second kind, I'm sorry. um you know he is more, and the work he's done for the government. He on Tucker Carlson, he says No. I'm sorry. Not on Tucker Carlson. Um, in the Channel 7 Australia network documentary, he alludes to someone that is about to come forward in the next couple months. This documentary aired about 3 weeks ago. So, in the next month and a half, someone is going to come forward and whistleblow the reverse engineering programs with actual proof, undeniable proof. Like, cat's out of the bag proof. Bob Lazar will be vindicated. This memo will most likely be vindicated, and people like this idiot will have to answer for it. And we will, we will hold you accountable, Scott Bray, U.S. Naval Intelligence Deputy Director, because you, my friend, you need your feet held to the fucking fire. You did this country a disservice when you stepped in front of Congress and you fucking tiptoed around questions. It made me sick. Sorry, rant over.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. It's also worth noting you bring up Scott Bray and that the Congress hearing, Representative Mike Gallagher specifically asked about the Wilson memo, and they of course denied it, but he
No,
still
they
asked.
didn't even deny it. They had no idea it existed.
Yeah, allegedly. I mean,
And then
they said
and
that
then
about everything,
and
though.
then and then they had the audacity to say that they, or no, maybe all right, don't quote me on that one. I
Yeah,
know for a fact that they did not know about the Rendlesham Forest incident, no,
yeah.
nor did they know about any like a nuclear air force
So,
missile failure at
so
Minot
they're
Air
not.
Force Base or Malmstrom Air Force Base. They
Yeah,
claim to not know. Those are the highest security level, and we have the most data on those scenarios. And they claim to not know.
yeah.
That was embarrassing.
Must be pretty shitty at their jobs, bro. Like, how are you the head
No,
of the
they're not
boat?
shitty. They just expect the public to be
Yeah, it's
stupid.
it's it's on purpose. They obviously, have plausible or over deniability.
Oprah
That.
could have done a better job with
Yeah,
that fucking presentation.
they don't. Then the way they go about it, if you watch it again, they tiptoe around their questions to where they don't even answer the question specifically. To where everything they say is, our UAP task force has not researched that
Recovered.
specifically. They
So the
say,
question,
yeah,
guys, I love this. I love this because thank you for bringing this up, Pop Tart, because
yeah,
this is classic. This is classic fucking Scott Bray, right? He gets asked by a congressman, does the United States government have retrieved crashed UFO material, whatever? I'm paraphrasing. Scott Bray says the UAP task force does not have recovered material.
yeah.
Literally changing the words. But I also blame the congressman for not coming back and saying, no, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, does the collective United States of America in its possession have retrieved material of origin not of this world? Phrase it like you were talking to a genie and you couldn't get it wrong.
Yeah. And,
How would you phrase it?
I mean, they did about the best that they could. You see, like Mike Gallagher, even not, and also Representative Tim Burchett. They both, but especially Mike Gallagher,
I
he
reached out to Tim Burchett for an
he's
interview. We're waiting back to hear.
you see their frustration, bro, and they go and ask him again, like, okay, like I don't know exactly the entire quotes, but you know, Representative Gallagher was pissed, bro, like just like I'm sure a lot of them were.
Yeah, I
So
agree. So I need for this is Eric Davis. Um, this is Tom Wilson. This is Scott Bray again. He's an idiot. Whenever I see him, I just this is what I want to do.
Oh, wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Well,
Yeah, Scott Bray is a goddamn fool. And I want him out very soon. I was not gonna mention this till the end of the show, but yes, in fact, we have gotten one of the guy who led the second Disclosure Project National Press Club event, um, of a different name but of the same style. He held his in 2007, I think, or around that time. Yes, Stephen Bassett, uh, of who's been in almost every big documentary. Um,
Yeah.
you know, this guy is. I mean, not this guy. This guy is a huge get for our podcast. I'm so happy that we're gonna get to interview him on the show. The guy is, you know, he knows what he's talking about. He's the founder of the Paradigm Research Group. Their main focus is getting the world ready for that change in the paradigm. Um, he falls in line with Greer. He falls in line with Lou Elizondo. He's very much a neutral guy, just wants to see disclosure happen in a peaceful way. Um, and I support him for that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this interview, brother?
Oh, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited to learn what he has to say, what he knows.
You're
And
actually not invited.
well, I'll be watching regardless. I can't stop me from watching it. So
No,
hey,
you'll be
listen to
there.
this though. Something else about you mentioned the Disclosure Project, which and Stephen Greer. Um, according to Greer, this Wilson memo and the meeting that he had with Admiral Wilson with Edgar Mitchell, that before the Davis memo happened, the original meeting, that at the end of it, Greer asked Admiral Wilson to help them, solve this issue and, get it on the right track. And he said that, he's basically been stopped. He's gone as far as he could. And that if Dr. Greer can do anything to help it, that he has his full blessing. And that's what
Really?
started the Disclosure Project was after that. And people always ask him, has he ever had anybody of high authority, give him basically, a cosign or whatever on doing this? And he said, absolutely. I have the head of Joint Chiefs of Staff give me his full
Well,
blessing.
there's no doubt that Stephen Greer is briefed and talked and has connections very high up there. There's no doubt about it. Uh, I don't think that's ever been in question. But I do have a problem with Stephen Greer being like basically shadow banned from the
YouTube,
media because he won't go along with the the national security threat narrative.
yeah, it just proves everything that he's been saying, bro. It proves exactly
I
what,
think Tucker Carlson should have him on.
bro. Everyone should. I mean, this motherfucker created the fucking secret, figured out the secret to making contact with UFOs, bro. That's insane. That's bigger than fucking Einstein. Like, it's bigger than the iPhone.
Imagine seeing this, dude.
Yeah.
This is like an eerie, realistic picture. I feel like this would be kind of how it came down. Uh, but why do you think he's been shadow banned?
I mean, because there's, so much proof that the media is controlled by the government and, by the, the black, whatever you call it, the black government. I don't know what word for it.
It's the shadow government.
Yeah, basically the military industrial complex, you know, and they don't want Dr. Greer to be, exposing
Do you
all
think that's because CE5 is
it's
because
because
it
of
works?
Krill. Yeah, exactly. And whenever he released Unacknowledged, after that's when TTSA was formed, and is because of Unacknowledged, because of Dr. Greer was doing. That's why all of it started happening afterwards with the fucking TikTok videos, all of it. It's all been a controlled release, and every single time it's been the TikTok or anything like that, the narrative is always fear and threat every single time, and that's
And
for
you
a
know
reason.
what's scary is that, Stephen Greer's been talking about this false flag operation for quite some time. And basically, what he's saying is kind of, if true, if the TikTok video and all this government, transparency is actually, like them opening the floodgates for this false flag, it does fall in line with the Stephen and what he's been saying for years, that all of a sudden he's basically saying we're in the final stage of this intergalactic false flag war. And he's kind of been like, if he's it is kind of ironic that all guys like Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon, who are career fucking embedded in the government, no one knows their name, kind of people, all of a sudden come out of the woodworks and start doing podcasts with every fucking Joe Schmo and Blow on the internet. I mean, could this secrecy be that last domino for an alleged invasion false flag?
I think absolutely, bro. I mean, you know, you listen to people like Lou Elizondo, and it's always still a secret, and it's always still a mystery. But every time the narrative is a fucking threat. It's always every single time with them, always a threat on big media. It's fear and threat based, narrative, and it's not for no reason. It has to be like that, or else they won't be able to get on the news. And that's the whole, you
But
know,
but
government's.
but there is an alternative to it, though. You won't get funding for butterflies and daisies.
Well, do they need more funding? We've already spent trillions of dollars on this black budget, trillions of
Well,
on.
we definitely need to study it more.
I think the entire fucking paradigm of it needs completely changed, bro. I mean, I don't have all the answers.
But we need to convince the general public.
Yeah, first is spread awareness. That's definitely the first goal.
Like we have to look at this like a marketing thing. We have to roll out an initial marketing plan
Like a
with,
movement,
yeah,
and
with commercials, radio, fucking
well,
things saying, guys, listen, it's true. Don't freak out. You know, we're fine. We're protected. Um, there's no need to worry. Go about your lives, stay informed, and we'll keep you updated. More to come on that. Um, uh, contact your state and local authorities, something like that. And then from there, hold press conferences, and then from there, introduce these beings if they're okay with it, or at least show the proof that they're there.
yeah, I mean,
We have to have videos that show like there's that infamous 23-minute video that shows occupants in a craft. Um, that it's like the smoking gun video.
I think the Wilson memo is a smoking gun evidence, and at the root of all of it, the root of the secrecy and the false flag is honestly racism. It's exo racism projected onto the universe, and they're using they probably know that they're not a threat. You know what I'm saying? But they're using racism that we have as humans and tribalism, just like they've always used religious tribalism and political tribalism to whatever their agenda is, and to fund their space force or fund whatever they need funding for. And they're using UFOs now as that source for their funding. And so, of course, yeah, they use the threat narrative, but that's
And now
fucked up.
they're using the
It's
threat
very dangerous.
narrative in a way that is going to get Congress to take it a little bit more seriously. So in a way, it was kind of needed, but I don't think it needed to. I don't think we
It's
needed
only
to
going to get
spin it.
worse.
Yeah, I don't think we needed to spin it the way, you know, like Corbell and them are spinning it, where, these things are, they're so, when they use that word impunity, um, it scares people because, you know, the, what they're saying is these things are flying through our airspace unimpeded with no restriction, right through restricted airspace. It's like, dude, they're not going to hit you. They are so advanced that there's no way that unless we take them down or some freak accident happens, like that this thing is going to hit you. And that's why there's been no collisions. That's why there's been no, fucking uh, 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 alien, um, you know, Air Force One threat. These things don't exist because these things have capabilities we can only dream of today. But imagine what is possible tomorrow. Imagine what is possible tomorrow.
And also, bro, there was a 1953 CIA document that was shortly after the CIA was founded from one of the early directors. I'm not sure who to exactly, but it said specifically talking about UFOs and it said the psychological warfare value
Oh
was
yeah.
best interest.
Oh yeah. The psychological warfare. We know this to be true because like I said, we just talked about Richard Doty. Psychological warfare is such thing as staging alien abductions or staging UFOs. We have a video planned on that. Coming up on what's today, Thursday. Um,
Yep.
on Saturday, we have a video that is gonna we're going to talk about the ancient alien theory plus man-made versus actual ET craft, how to spot the difference, and why man-made crafts are a problem.
Right. I mean, millions and millions of people see UFOs and have had contact with UFOs of many different kinds. Um, there's no lack of evidence or no lack of proof at all. It's just
If you see any kinds of uh, ordinary means of propulsion, like fire coming out of the back of it, chances are it's man-made,
yeah,
right?
and
Guaranteed man-made. So watch out for those ones because you could get seriously hurt. But
Cash
you
Landrum
know
incident proves that. Cash Landrum incident was
that
a
that's
man-made
the one I'm
UFO
talking
that
about. Yep.
they got out and had radiation burns and sued the government, and
They ended up losing, but they said that 2 military jets were accompanying this
yeah,
craft.
escorting it. So it was obviously man-made. We obviously have this technology we've had for many decades. Now we just get more and more proof, and it's still never enough for the world to ever accept it as a whole. The UFO community might accept it, and we might debate it, but the rest of the
But the
world
rest of the
seems
world has
not
no
care.
idea that it happened.
Yeah, that's why, in a way, I agree with
The
Lou
rest of the
Elizondo saying
world,
that about ufology must die because it should break off and just be humanity in general, not just UFOs, because it's something that affects every single human. Um, but
right?
besides that, I don't agree with Mr. Elizondo on much. But anyways, you want to get what do you want to get back to now? Roswell, Wilson memo.
Well, we don't have to get back to anything. We're just going
If
forward
if
now.
you want if you want to talk about what you said a minute ago about the threat. What's really interesting to me, bro, is you see people like Lou Elizondo and Jeremy Corbell, and they're talking about it, but it's always just like from the government. It's It's always they barely know anything. It's still a mystery. We still have no idea. We're working on figuring it out. We're working hard on it. We got a new task force now. We need trillions of dollars for a new task force to figure it out, like we didn't figure it out fucking decades ago. They
Why do
just
you?
doing the same
Why,
shit for more funding, but
why
they
do
don't
you?
talk about abductions though.
Yeah, because they think that the public wouldn't understand it.
It would confirm that UFOs are extraterrestrial, even if they're not really abducting people. They want people to still believe abductions are real, so they put in Hollywood movies and everything. But they're not going on TV saying aliens are abducting people at all, or anything like that, or cattle mutilations, stuff like that. That most likely are all just the government operations that they developed decades and decades ago for this very purpose, for most people to just assume that it is ET, especially if you see it with your own eyes and you're not, following Dr. Greer and hearing him, expose it either before or after, then you would think it was in fucking real UFO.
Right,
I'm
right.
sure they've gotten to this point. Maybe back in the 50s when they first started reverse engineering and got it successfully reverse engineered in 56. Maybe then it was hard to tell. I mean, maybe then it was easy to spot the difference. Like you could see ridges and shit like that. But I'm sure by now, especially if the Tic Tac is indeed man made, which I believe it is, that's pretty good. Even if that's the only craft we have is a Tic Tac, which I don't believe is. I believe we have saucers like Bob Lazar's claimed and
We also
triangles
have
more.
tetrahedrons.
Oh, really? I see. I don't know
That
about all the
the
shapes.
Cash Landrum one was a triangle, like a pyramid,
Yeah, that I thought it was more triangle,
but
but
it was a tetrahedron, so it was a upside down triangle.
I don't think that it's any question at all that the government has had these craft for many decades. I think it's like abundantly clear at this point. And the Wilson memo is just, I think, the smoking gun to confirm all of it. What Greer said, what Bob Lazar said, I believe it vindicates both of them.
Yeah, well,
100%.
once this whistleblower comes out, I think we'll finally be able to vindicate Lazar in some capacity, which is going to be great because then he'll start to do more interviews and you know, hopefully we can get him on. But as of
Yeah.
right now, it's so difficult because um, interviews with Lazar, you have to be you know top of the top.
Hey, he gave me a thumbs up a few months ago, bro. And the comment that he gave me a thumbs up to was actually not even on his page. It was on Jeremy Corbell's page, and he was posting his usual bullshit about threats and stuff. Back then, it was I think last year actually. But I said the U.S. government in all caps. I said the U.S. government not only knows what these craft are, they own them. And yeah, he gave me the thumbs up. That I didn't even tag him.
Which again, like harbors the question, like Jeremy, didn't you make a documentary all
Exactly.
about how Bob
That's
Lazar
that's why Bob
knows?
was. That's why he gave me the thumbs up because it was on Jeremy's page and he was seeing it. I was like, "What the fuck, man? I gave you a whole documentary and you're still acting like you don't know. You're still saying that it's a mystery. We don't know what they are. They're. We definitely we can what did he say exactly? He said we can absolutely not. It starts with a D, some word I forget, but totally take off the table black military operations, whatever, black budget.
Um, wait, what?
So I forget exactly how he said it, but he was saying we can eliminate all foreign adversaries. We can eliminate um, any black budget, any black, what's the word? Black projects, I guess. He said something to that effect. He said
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
eliminate all any black projects that we have. I'm like, how the hell can you eliminate the black projects? And
yeah.
especially
You're
you made
you're
the Bob
not
Lazar
even in
movie.
the government, and you have no idea. And Bob Lazar, you made a whole documentary about it,
Yeah,
about revert, like all those ones that like it we can't we you should not rule out the possibility that it could be if we own these crafts. It should not be a possibility that that we can rule that out because Lazar, the last time Lazar saw our UFO inventory was in the 80s. um who knows what we've gotten since then. Um, so it just goes to show you that um, Corbell, I liked him at first, but he is so he just goes with the flow because he was a failed MMA guy, and he claims to be a filmmaker, but he's really not. Um, his movie was so bad that it made me laugh. Like I could have done so much better. Um, not to toot my own horn, but Corbell is a clout chaser, and
Anybody with
he's a gatekeeper.
anybody with any common sense would be like, okay, you do your research before you do the whole movie. Figure out
Yeah.
if you believe that he's real or not, and then do the movie. Don't spend the entire movie making the movie about, oh, is he a lion or not? I don't know. Let's just keep talking to him and figure out, oh, he had a brothel and fucking what? Who gives a fuck, bro? Like that has nothing to do with the story. You should be asking him what the inside the UFO looked like, how it ran, how we can do this, what he
Yeah,
thinks we
he
can do.
focused on such obscure,
I'd be
dumb
like, bro,
shit.
let's go make a UFO right fucking now. Like, I need every fucking detail that you have, everything that you saw. I would be trying to do the fucking hypnotherapy on him
They
to
they
get every
they
detail.
focused they focused on the dumbest shit in that movie.
The
It was
worst
like
shit.
it was like, I want to know, like, I want to know everything about his time inside the building,
Yeah,
not about the flight that he took to get there or anything like
yeah.
that,
Or where he
or
went to school.
or or the fucking handprint scanner or anything like that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's all bullshit. Like, I mean, it's probably real, not bullshit like that, but it was just, yeah, ridiculous. Like, bro, there's so much. I feel like I felt bad for him because, you know, I know that he probably wanted to have have a better documentary too. He wanted to, really get this information out there. Is what he's been doing for years and years, telling this story. He finally got the chance to, and the whole time he's just being fucking dogged on for, something he might have done fucking wrong or whatever, blah blah blah, but not really getting to the questions that should have been asked.
yeah, and again, that is the problem lately. Um, that's the problem with journalism lately. You don't have to have a degree to be a journalist anymore, and unfortunately, it shows. Uh, and unfortunately, Jeremy Corbell has wiggled his way into being, um, you know, on and George Knapp definitely helped that happen. Um, but you know, it sucks because Corbell is a gatekeeper, and he goes along with whatever is going to get him attention, not the actual truth, but what's going to get him on TV, what's going to get him on the podcast, on Joe Rogan, sitting next to Commander Fravor on Joe Rogan. Um, you know, uh, notice, he's embedded himself like with these guys, for some weird reason. It's not, and anytime he's with, like during the Bob Lazar Joe Rogan interview, I wanted to fucking strangle Corbell because he interrupted him so many times. It drove me nuts. Um, but why do you harbor resentment for Lou Elizondo and that faction of um ufology? Not just Lou Elizondo, but that faction in total, because you're from the CE5 area where you believe contact can be made, is made on a daily basis, and that um, it's all peaceful, and that the government is bad. They Not all the government, but there is this government aspect that is hiding the truth for malevolent reasons.
Right. And yeah, like obviously not all the government, even the president's denied access. So you can't say the government. It's a program in the government, or many programs maybe, that are involved in this. Apparently on the Wilson document it says, I think 400 to 800 employees total were involved in this. But like Bob Lazar, even he saw 9 discs whenever he worked there in the 80s, and that's compartmentalized. So he was allowed to see 9 discs. We have other recovered
He
crafts
wasn't even really
all over.
supposed to see 9 discs.
Yeah,
He
but
was
they were all there. You know what I'm
they were
saying?
all the hangar doors were open one day, and he got a glimpse of or like they had to walk through, and he saw them very quickly.
But
But
the
um,
the Nellis Air Force Base, Area 51, it's not the only place that we've had this technology or that we do have
no, right, Patterson,
so many places and that we don't, and so many places that we don't know of.
Cheyenne
That's there's
Mountain.
there's the places that we do know and places that Greer
Yeah,
has on
then
his
there are
list.
these what are they called? Um the underground bases, the
Yeah, the
acronym
DUMS, the DUMS.
DOMS.
Yeah,
DOMS.
deep underground military bases. And Greer
Yes.
has these fucking documents, bro. He's got
Oh,
the
I've been watching
he's got the
that
proof on
10-part
all of it, bro.
series.
He's got the proof exactly, but like in his own fucking like possession, he's got the proof and the
See,
documents to back up everything. Everything.
that this little 10-part thing that he's doing,
Yeah,
this is the Stephen Greer that I want to see more of.
exactly.
Not
It's awesome.
not the willy-nilly like fucking, you know, the other side of it, like the come pay me to do it.
See,
Um,
see, I'm a fan of him in like in general, bro. I haven't found him to be non credible about one thing. I haven't found him to be inaccurate about one thing, every single thing that
what do you
you know
say about him faking the flare thing?
that's insane. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. That he would
You
never
you
have
you
a
don't think that that's true?
not no way, bro. That's ridiculous. Like I've done the CE5 myself over 50, 60, possibly more times. I just rounded down to that because I lost count after so many. And that was in my own backyard without giving Greer a
You
dollar.
but you don't think it's even a slight possibility
No.
that
I
he
I, I believe
but
it goes
you
against
you
his
yourself
whole
you
he wouldn't be able to
yourself
make contact again. If he wanted to
but
make real contact after that, he wouldn't be able to because the ETs would know he did that and they would be fucking pissed. They'd be like, "What the fuck? We're not gonna come fuck with you now after you did that." So no, he wouldn't do that one time or anything because he's evolved more than fucking the typical human in his fucking spirituality. He's at a higher level consciously than fucking I am, than most of us are. So no, I don't believe that's in his character whatsoever. Just and I've never met the guy. He might
I'm
be an
gonna get
asshole.
you.
I don't know,
I
but
I mark my words. I will get you to meet him.
I hope so, bro. I hope so. And that's the thing. It's like even if he was an asshole and
Look
fucking a
at this.
bad person, it doesn't
How
matter because he's
many
right about this.
how many weeks have we been doing this?
I think two, possibly three.
Two? And I'm already about to introduce you to one of the biggest names in ufology.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm
So,
excited.
I mean, that's what I do.
Yep.
A lot of people don't give me. I don't think our YouTube numbers reflect
Not yet, bro.
the incredible things that I've been able to do. Um, but our audio sure does. We're pulling in 7,000 downloads per episode on audio platforms. So that's where we get our audience, and YouTube is just secondary at this point.
Yeah, I mean
But YouTube
it's super
but because our Spotify has video, like we don't even need YouTube anymore.
good, bro. Hopefully we can get a deal with Spotify like Joe Rogan did. I'm gonna try to boost our numbers
I
up.
would I would love to go Spotify exclusive.
Yeah, I've always been good at social media, bro.
We
Since
we
MySpace.
could we could
I'm
go Spotify exclusive just on our own.
yeah, I'm good at going viral, bro. I've gone viral multiple
But
times.
the thing about Spotify, um, we wouldn't have access to, like, we wouldn't have access to live shows
Hmm.
necessarily
Well,
because you can't interact with the audience like that.
regardless, bro, I think the show is really gonna take off. I think that we're only gonna get more and more involved and deep into this fucking subject, and this is just the tip of the iceberg for us specifically, and that we're
Dude,
really
wait till
gonna
we're
go
doing an episode in front of
all out.
Area 51 gate.
Yeah, and we start doing episodes with, you've already done episodes with some, high level military people and stuff. I haven't yet, but once I do too, that's really what I want to do, bro. I love doing
Yeah,
this.
people forget Cheryl Costa worked with nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I watched that.
And then Kevin, obviously,
Yeah,
there's, I don't even need to say it. So, but guys, that is going to wrap up today's show. I can't thank you enough for being here, guys. Total disclosure is I mean it's got to be my favorite thing to do. By the way, I do want to apologize for last night. I was so exhausted
very good.
that I fell asleep, and I fucked up. I fucked up.
Hey, I
Um,
realized after a little while, I was like, he's probably sleeping or something happened, so I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'll
yeah.
probably wait till tomorrow and we'll do it then.
But also next week we have a panel that's going to be happening with myself, Lil Pop Tart, the Ed and Ash from Pursuit of Paranormal, and with another guy, Frank from another UFO podcast. So it's going to be 5 of us having a giant panel conversation. It's going to be a bunch of different views. It's going to be all out mayhem. It's going to be so fun. And I can't wait to do that.
So, can I say one last thing before we go?
Yeah, and then do your plugs and all that.
So, Dr. Greer is currently, or he's about to be, filming for his next documentary. And it's
Oh
called
yeah, dude,
The
we
Lost.
should go.
I would love to go, but
Where
what I
is
want
it?
to do, I think he's doing a filming. He said at some
He's
conference.
probably
I
doing
don't
it at
know,
Mount Shasta. He always does everything at Mount Shasta.
but he posted this today with this caption that I wanted to read about what is the lost century. It says, "What is the lost century? 100 years of illegal UFO secrecy has cost humanity technological, cultural, and spiritual development beyond our wildest imagination. This groundbreaking lecture exposes the cost of the cover up to the planet and the human race and how we can reclaim control of our collective destiny. Climate change, biosphere collapse, poverty, hunger, pandemics, energy rationing, religious and political tribalism, and endless wars for natural resources have us teetering on the edge of extinction. What if all these devastations were completely avoidable all along? In The Lost Century, Dr. Greer reveals how 100 years of illegal secrecy have robbed humanity of vital technologies and spiritual knowledge that could save the planet and elevate us into a space-faring civilization. These include zero-point energy, electromagnetic gravitics, consciousness-assisted technologies." That's it.
That's an amazing caption.
Yep.
And what are the details on that? So does it give any details on dates and times?
Yeah, so the movie's coming out next year, I guess, but it says join us Tuesday, October 25th at the Eli and Edith Broad stage, in Santa Monica, California.
Oh
Groundbreaking.
fuck, we couldn't get
But
there.
he does stuff like that all the time, though, bro. Is what I'm saying. And it's not always $5,000. Like they have multiple events, multiple things, different price ranges. The stuff that's thousands of dollars is like if you want to spend a week with him and stuff. So people saying that he's just all about money, blah blah blah. I feel like that's really the last thing that he's worried about, and that he's doing all this. Really, he could be a doctor, but he's doing all this out of the good of his heart, because this is the best discovery of human history, in all honesty,
Dude, this is the biggest story of all time.
of all time, bro. At least of our time, at least of our.
No, 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 of all time.
for humans, I feel like this same situation happens on every planet though. Like they all go through they UFOs
Okay,
go
okay, okay,
and
okay.
they
You're thinking about it from a universal point.
yeah,
I'm
they do
thinking
this
about
on
it.
all the planets. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I get it. Um, yeah, no, I agree. Um, and like, wouldn't it be so cool to like learn about other alien civilization history?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
you know what? Who was there? Albert Einstein. Who was there? Nikola Tesla. Who was there? Thomas Edison, like all that stuff, like the merging of my of the one consciousness and all that. Like I hope it happens during our lifetime. I really do.
it will, bro. It will for sure. It's super fascinating, and all of that can happen today if you start doing C5 and you start making contact. They'll give you as much as you let them, and as good as a relationship you can have with them, just like any relationship with a human being. If you get, there's a lot of information about UFOs today. If you got a good relationship with somebody in the military or whatever, like with you with Kevin Day, or with if you got Admiral Tom Wilson or whoever, somebody that's actually in a USAP, you build a relationship with them and they trust you and they give you information, whatever you know that the information is there, it exists. Just because we might not have access to it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Doesn't
I
mean it's
agree.
not
I
real
agree.
or
I agree.
it.
So what is your advice for people? Um, what's your advice for people who are on the edge of C5, or who believe in Lou Elizondo and that camp, and how would you talk to them about um, you know, kind of looking at it from your perspective?
Well, I'm not necessarily, I don't want it to be my thing to be to convince people. I'm gonna do my best to tell my story, my beliefs, and let them make their own opinion or conclusion. But um, as far as if someone already believes that they just believe that aliens are a threat, then I really can't con- convert them to believing otherwise. But if they're on the fence of it, kind of like with you are, where you're not denying Greer, but you just don't know yet. You're still skeptical, which is how you should be. Any human should be, and I was too. All I can say is go outside. Next time you're outside, just look up, do Skywatch, whatever. Think about UFOs. If you don't want to learn Dr. Greer's CE5 protocols, then just think about UFOs, think about the ETs, and try to talk to them telepathically through your brain. Just say hello, think about UFOs, and if you're lucky, you'll have contact. One will just show up. It all depends on you and how your energy is and what kind of mood you're in. If you got good vibe, et cetera, et cetera. But it's literally that simple. And as long as you don't overthink it, and if you're a spiritual person, if you already do meditate, you'll have easier success. It took me 7 months because I'm a materialistic person. I've always sort of been. I've never meditated. I never believed meditation was anything other than just like mumbo jumbo, just like, oh yeah, it might make you feel better. It might be good for your, happiness or something. I didn't believe it had actual effects and actually connect you
Why
with
do
the
you,
universe, etc.
And last thing, why do you think you haven't had contact since you
Well,
know
since
that?
December,
Mark Tachara from my childhood.
eh,
Thank you so much, brother. Um, Mark Tachara. Oh God, I had some good times with that man. Mark Tachara and I had some fucking deep conversations when we were on
yeah,
LSD or
yep,
smoking or whatever.
it opens your mind, bro. But back,
We should take some mushrooms and virtually trip together.
yeah, I want to microdose, but really I want to try DMT because I've never tried it.
DMT will open your fucking world.
I really want to try it. But let me answer your question real quick as to why I believe I haven't had contact since December. First off, I haven't really been giving it much effort, to be completely honest. I've only gone out a few times and attempted to make contact. But after not having any for about 20 fucking 30 minutes at the most, I'll go back in because I'm just annoyed at that point. But that you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to meditate and stuff before. And even whenever I was making contact, I wasn't meditating right before, but I was still making it an active, goal of mine to still meditate throughout the day, before or after, and to make contact that way. And yeah, so really that's why I believe I haven't been making contact. I haven't been meditating, and I really haven't been trying. In all honesty, I haven't been going out there at all.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think you just have to tune in and tune, you know, uh, I don't know, find some common ground and, get that spirituality back up. Um,
Yeah.
that's all for Total Disclosure tonight, guys. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, become a member, all that jazz. Send a super chat, send a super thanks. Um, guys, remember the show is not free to do. Um, I love doing it. It's not about the money, but if you can help give back what you think the show is worth to you. We'll see you next time, which is tomorrow. I mean, uh, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow night. I don't know. Maybe Saturday night. I don't know. We'll figure it out.